Guest blog is actually a very, very important one. So I myself think it's probably the most important, method of link building
because it's organic. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Lance from Media Lion, and we have Andrew here from Jester Digital.
Hello.
How are you, mate?
Good. Yourself?
Good.
Excellent.
Good as can be in these times.
That's it, man. Stay positive. Come on.
Stay positive.
I like your jersey, by the way.
You know I'm a Cowboys fan.
I did not, but that's interesting to know. America's team.
You know it?
Yeah. Good stuff. I'm definitely not, man.
I've got a 49ers one at home as well.
Oh, sucks to be you.
Who do you go for?
I like the Carolina Panthers.
Well, you grew up in...
Yeah, well, I was born in North Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but I moved here at like kind of 21.
Yep.
So I've been here for a little while now, but yeah.
You lived in North Carolina your whole pretty much till 21?
No. I lived there till I was about 10.
Okay.
Lived in Oregon a bit as well.
And where'd you go after when you were 10?
I moved around a lot. I lived in all over the States for a while between my parents, and then moved over here. Pretty much sort of finished high school and a couple of years of uni, and then came over.
Nice.
But I don't think everyone wants to hear about my life story, but maybe
sure
they do. Maybe they do. I don't know.
How did you get into SEO before we get into the podcast?
I got into SEO. Well, actually, I did the majority of my degree here.
In marketing?
Yeah. So I did a degree in sort of comms marketing.
Yep.
And, sort of fell into it like I think most people do.
Sure.
So basically kind of, decided, what do I want to do? And then I worked at a traditional agency for a little bit just to sort of like get my feet wet. Didn't really see the future there, and just, kind of decided digital was the way to go. And I haven't really looked back since.
Definitely. Yep. So today's podcast is...
We talk a bit about links.
Link building.
Link building, yeah. And
link
why
building.
It's important for, more than ever, I think. Especially in these times, it's something that people can do, a little bit on their own as well. It's really important to sort of like keep your site as highly ranked as possible. Mm-hmm. Especially, once you come back from a lull in business, it's a little bit inevitable at the moment, but it'll help your positioning and also your conversions once you get on the other side.
Sure. So this podcast is demystifying link building for small to medium-sized businesses. So is it still for, well, I guess it's for anybody who's looking to do SEO, but also if you currently are doing SEO.
Yeah, I mean, if you're currently doing SEO, it's definitely important. But I mean, someone that hasn't even taken the plunge in SEO can do some of these tricks themselves as well.
Sure.
There's obviously some more advanced things to do, but there are some of these options that you can sort of start looking into for yourself.
And that's right. These are things that the business owners can do for. Yeah, they can do it themselves.
Exactly.
Without hiring someone like yourself or like
exactly.
us.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
What is a backlink?
Okay, so just to make it simple, a backlink is one site pointing to another. So
it's your website, your link, so whatever it is, medialine.com.au or jesterdigital.com.au, and it's on someone else's site that's clickable, that's going back to your site.
Every time you go to a site and you see something that's clickable and you click it, that's a link.
That's your link.
So that's something taking from one place to another.
And so why is it important that your website has links pointing back to your site?
So it's a relevance factor. It's a trust factor from Google and other search engines, but Google's the main one, clearly. Mm-hmm. But essentially, Google looks at various factors when ranking your site. One of them's content. How good is your content? How well optimized is it? How good is it for the actual user? The second is main one is actually backlinks. So those are the two main factors still in rank. I would say those two make up probably 90% of your overall ranking. Basically.
Sure. Yeah.
But for the instance of links, basically it just Google has an algorithm and it's pretty smart these days. So they can see how relevant those links are, if they're spammy or not, a whole bunch of different factors as well, just to sort of like rank you amongst your competitors essentially.
And it's not a case of just it can be just asking all your friends and family if they can put a link, but it's more, there's a better strategy than that, because Google wants it to be an organic growth.
Yeah. So, I mean, if a site all of a sudden gets 50,000 backlinks in a day, that obviously doesn't generally happen in the real world. So it generally, you would want it to be a bit more organic than that, for sure. I mean, if you're an enterprise level corporation, that might happen. I mean, generally not, but I mean, that might happen. But if you're, Joe's Plumbing in Malaga, I don't think he's going to be getting, 10,000 links in a day. So anything that looks obviously organic is the way to go.
Sure.
So generally that should happen anyway. There's a whole different, many different types of backlinks essentially. And then, just once you start to get the initial ones down, other ones start to fall into place after that. Initially, I think when people start looking at websites, we touched on these previously, what was directory links. So those are sort of like your Yelps and Yellow Pages and that sort of thing. So those are like your initial sort of authority sites, help with your Google My Business, but also help with your website as well, because those are things that real businesses have. And, there are also things that like you just need to have on a day-to-day basis in terms of like, trust as well.
So what you're saying is websites like Yellow Pages, White Pages, Yelp, Houzz, if you're in the building game, these sites have a trust authority already with Google.
They do, yes.
And if you can have your link on these sites, then you're telling Google, hey, this is a trusted site and it's got my website on there.
Yeah, and they're also free, most of them. Some of them do cost money, but for the most part, a lot of the quality ones are free.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's thousands of these things that you don't really need all of them. A lot of them they look a bit spam.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll maybe pop something into the
I know
comments.
we popped some links on the last episode as well with the.
Maybe we'll go a bit further and I'll actually put like the top 50,
okay,
and just like a list to a site. So that'd probably be the best way to go.
Yeah, it'll take them a couple of hours to do, but.
Yeah,
it's very well worth it.
That's right. Yeah, so we touched on it in one of the previous podcasts regarding filling out the information and that, but we'll let you look at that for that information.
Sure. Maybe the listeners, if you're wanting the list of 50, they can reach out to us on email.
Yep. Might be easiest that way.
Just easier that way. We can put it in a PDF and send you the email. We'll have links to our emails in the post. But it is lance@medialion.com.au, or if you want to reach out to Andrew, it's
andrew@jesterdigital.com.au.
There you go.
Did you forget me already?
No comment.
All right. So once you have those down,
So you've done the citations. Yeah. What's the next step?
I would actually just start asking friends and family and business owners and that sort of thing.
Okay. But you want it to be a real site.
A real site. So real businesses, obviously. If you have easy wins there, go for it.
Yeah.
Why not? Say if your brother has like a cafe or something along those lines, and it's obviously niche relevant to what you're doing. Why not?
Now, where would you necessarily... So you can't... Where would you put this link? Is it going to be in a blog article? Because you can't just go to your family member who has a home building business and go, can you put a link on my website, on your website? Where are they going to put the link?
You can put it sort of... I generally would put it on the home page because that's like your most important page.
Right.
Maybe like an inner page, sort of like an About Us or something along those lines. For instance, I have a chiropractor client, and he's got a mate who's also a chiropractor, South River, so they're not really competing.
Right.
So we actually just wrote a little blurb about, if you're in the South River and you're looking for a chiropractor, visit our friends at that. So it's you don't have to put it in a super prominent location. It's just something that's got a mention, and generally speaking, it'll help them out as well.
So if you owned an ice cream shop and your friend owned a website that was a plumbing business,
maybe not.
You kind of want it to be in the same industry.
Yeah, well, somewhat similar. You can get away with some links that are not related, especially if they're local.
Yeah.
You don't want too many, but I think one or two there is not really going to hurt.
You sure?
Yeah.
the plumber could write a blog article about an ice cream, they visited an ice cream shop or something like that.
So that also feeds into the next sort of set of links, which is, testimonial link building. So, for instance, if that plumber, so let's go the other way, actually. Let's say the ice cream person had the plumber
That's
come.
an easier,
Yeah, so the plumber obviously just did a job for the ice cream company.
Yep.
And then you've also got, so that person can then write a review in exchange for a backlink.
The ice cream shop can write a review on the plumber's website, or are you talking website?
Yeah, that way. Yeah, and then that link would come back to their site.
Yeah.
So it helps out two ways. The ice cream companies, the plumber is getting a review, and then the ice cream company is getting a link back. So it's helping out both ways, and you're not getting like crossing links going at each other, which can hurt, but each person's getting something, something positive out of it.
And does it matter if the link is coming from the I suppose a testimonial is going to be on the homepage generally.
Well, sometimes you have a testimonial page itself, but yeah, it can be on the homepage.
Yeah, but it's not on a blog. So it doesn't really matter whether it's on a blog or whether it's on the homepage.
Homepage is the most the strongest page.
Sure.
So generally most links go to the homepage. Mm-hmm. I'd say probably 50%-ish.
Yeah.
So I don't like linking out a lot on the homepage, simply because you're losing your juice, your link juice. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather have it on an inner page, honestly.
Okay.
So that's just kind of the way most people would do it, I'd say.
Sure. So you've got 50 citations you can do. First step is to do the citations. Second step would be to reach out to other website or business owners that that have a website and try and work out some sort of either a testimonial exchange or a guest blog.
That's right. Yeah, guest blog is actually a very, very important one. So I myself think it's probably the most important method of link building,
because it's organic.
Well, not so much organic. You can kind of control what sites you want to pitch to.
Sure.
So you can create a good piece of content, pitch that to just a various site, something that's niche relevant and also has good metrics, and then they might sometimes charge a little bit just for placement, but sometimes you can get it for free. It's just mainly just time and effort just to put into it. So that is my number one sort of link building tip in terms of getting quality backlinks.
Okay, so let's take a home builder, custom home builder, for example, and they're trying to do some guest outreach or some guest post or guest blogs. They could write about. They would have to then choose kitchen renovations or bathroom renovations or something specific or suppliers.
Yeah. Yep. So anything sort of like trade related, I would actually say is applicable there. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be in the same exact niche, but you want it to be sort of like somewhat niche in there, so nothing that has to be like hyper local or hyper niche, but you could have something, suppliers are a really good example for sure.
And so then if they are a supplier, you could write an article about their product.
Yep, their product being used for your work essentially. Mm-hmm. So anything along those lines. I did one on it was how to. It is sort of like, I think it was polished concrete,
right?
And if polished concrete was applicable for like a workshop floor essentially. So, because it's not applicable for everyone, because it can, if it gets dusty, you can get quite slippery, right? So we wrote that out, pitched that to a couple companies, and they accepted that one for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, it's basically, if you can write up something that's like highly searched and people actually want to post on their site, there's a good chance they'll probably take it.
Yep.
Especially if it fits into their sort of content schedule. And so again, it's helping out two people. So one person's getting some fresh content for the site, which is very important, and then you're getting a backlink back. So you're helping out someone and you're getting something in return.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just to go over it for the listeners, you have a client who's in the polished concrete game.
They do a lot of stuff in concrete.
Sure.
So not just polished, but
And so the strategy behind it was to write some articles on the concrete floor.
Yep.
And whether it's suitable in the workplace.
That's right.
And then the site has fresh content. They can put the content up on their site and give you a backlink and reference the article from you or whatnot.
Exactly. It's not easy, mainly because your return rate's probably about 5%, I'd say. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of just no responses at all.
Right.
But if your content's good enough, eventually you'll get it placed. So the key is to have good content to pitch to people.
Sure.
You know?
Yep, 100%.
So I myself actually have an outreach team that actually does this for me.
Right.
It makes my life a lot easier. But, you know, if you have the right resources in place, it becomes a lot easier than sort of just you doing it yourself, obviously.
So you'll tell the team what industry it is and if they can start looking at websites that we can...
That's right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
What else can they do? So they've done the citations, they've done a few guest blogs, they've asked family and friends.
Well, if you want to actually stick with the content game, you can actually you want to have fresh content for your own site as well. So I've had a couple actually industries that have done this really well. So just for instance, I've got a catering client and we wrote a blog on the top 10 wedding venues in Perth.
Right.
Now that article alone, I think for about 3 months, brought in about 25% of the total traffic.
Jeez.
So yeah, it was hyper local. People were actually searching for this sort of like question.
And was there an article on that before? There's
a few, but if you write a good article, generally people will read it.
Right.
So not only did she get traffic out of it, but she also got some backlinks out of it as well.
And and that business is she's a wedding event hire or?
No, catering.
Catering.
So obviously it fits in really well.
Sure.
It shows you kind of like how it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but catering obviously is very, very applicable to weddings.
So the strategy behind it is the catering client, she obviously caters for weddings.
Yes.
And then people are searching on Google top 10 venues for weddings. And then they see this article about the weddings. And then in that article is about catering.
Exactly. So I think probably about 90% of the article was just about weddings and wedding venues. And then at the bottom of the last paragraph, it says like, hey, if you're looking for catering for your wedding, come see us.
And you put that article, the top 10 venues for weddings, you put that on her blog site?
On her blog, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's kind of sticks with the content game.
So doing content for your own website as well.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, fresh content is very important along with obviously your backlinks as well. So I'd say those are the two, like I said before, the two main aspects of SEO. So keeping those two up is very important for sure.
Definitely.
So we're kind of going on maybe a little bit more advanced link strategies now, just to touch on them quickly. But
yep.
Another thing I really look at is competitor backlinks.
Right.
So those would be, say you look at like, say the top 3 or 4 competitors and see what exactly they have in terms of their backlink profile. There's a couple tools you can use to use this. One's called Ahrefs, but most people won't have that.
Because it's about $1,500 a
year. So we use that probably on a day-to-day basis. I use it daily, easily.
Yeah, I use SEMrush.
Yeah. But basically what I would do is have a look at what those top 3 competitors are using, kind of emulate those. You can then reverse engineer it for your own site.
So just for the listeners, this is advanced, but basically you grab the link, you put it through the software program called Ahrefs or SEMrush, whichever, and it will start to let you can have a look at that website's backlink profile.
Yeah.
And you can see where are they getting links from, the domain authority, and heaps of other information.
That's right. Yeah. So, that one's probably a little bit more advanced, but.
And what would you do once you have that data, then what?
Then you just simply look at where you can build out a profile for yourself or a link back. I wouldn't say most of these links are going to be sort of like outreach sites. It's mainly going to be like local directories and locally based sort of niche links that you can get.
Sure.
Because those are, again, like we talked about before, one of the 1%ers.
Yeah.
So if you have all those little things, those are going to help out long term as well.
Okay. Makes sense.
Next one, I think it's probably users can actually do themselves a bit easier is looking at sort of unlinked mentions. So that would be if you do it like a Google search for yourself and you find that you're featured on a site but not linked. Well, sorry, the link is not coming from their site back to you. You could then reach out to those particular companies and say, hey, I see that you mentioned me. Could you possibly just include a backlink there as well?
Sure. How do the listeners do that?
Easiest way, I generally just look for your brand name in sort of parentheses on Google.
Okay.
And that will give you a whole list of sort of just, it'll bring up your own site, but it should also bring up other places where your name is mentioned.
Yep.
Now, this probably won't work for really tiny businesses, I'd say. But say if you're like a contractor that's worked on a big building site or a big project.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had some guys that have worked on sort of like some of the shopping centers around Perth.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, on those sites, they'll list where the contractors have come from. They'll say cladding by X company, concrete by X company.
But they didn't necessarily put a link.
Well, that's that. Sometimes they don't do that, you know. So they'll say, "Oh, we mentioned you." It's like, well, you did, but you know, there's no sort of like link benefit there. It doesn't actually take them much time. It probably takes them, 10 seconds to put in. But I think a lot of people just don't think about it. So it's a really big opportunity, especially because those big projects would probably have some really, nice links in terms of power and relevancy for your site.
Definitely. You do want to make sure that it is a follow link as well. Can you just briefly, because I know we touched in this in the last podcast about follow and no follows.
Yeah.
Can you just let the listeners know what we mean by that?
Yeah, so a follow link is essentially counted by Google. So both of them have, merit and usefulness, I think. But in terms of ranking power, follow links are what you want. So basically it means that Google is, passing link juice on. So basically if one site has some authority and it has a follow link pointing to yours, it's passing a portion of that authority to you.
Sure.
If it's no follow, it's not. Does that make sense?
Sure. But the no follows, they still have merit, like you said.
Yeah.
Just not as powerful as
That's right.
As a follow.
Well, you'll find a lot of those sort of directory links or no follow actually.
Right.
But they still, they still have merit and they still work. So it actually looks really unnatural for a site to have 100% follow links.
Yeah.
Because it's clearly that people were just trying to like game the system a bit.
You do want to mix.
That's right. Yeah. Same thing with, one of the more advanced things that you probably won't need to look at, but sort of anchor text.
So anchor text being the actual, when your link is, it's what the link says. So you can either have, click here, or you could have your media line, or you could have your business name, or you can have the actual link address.
Yes.
That's what we mean by anchor text.
I'd say for the purpose of home users and just business owners, generally just get the business name.
Right.
Or a naked URL, which is just the www.yourbusinessname.com.au.
Yep.
Have that as your link, simply because if you do start putting keywords in, that sort of thing, if you skew it too far in one direction, you can stuff up your site.
Sure.
So I would kind of leave that to a more professional to sort of like determine those ratios.
Definitely. So when you are reaching out to family and friends, what have you, just mention to them that you want the anchor text as the
brand
business name or the brand
right.
name.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Yeah, I wouldn't be stuffing around with that, to be honest.
Sure.
I think that's pretty much it for now, just as a sort of like intro.
Sure.
There are a few more advanced strategies, but I wouldn't suggest that just normal business owners go for those because they take a bit more expertise and a lot more time.
Yep.
But these are some sort of intro things that people can do in the downtime that will help them out long term.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good. We can do that maybe in a part 2 or something like that. Cool. If you are looking to do SEO, or if you are currently doing SEO and you want either some free advice or even a strategy session, or if you'd like Andrew or ourselves to look after your SEO, we're more than happy to do that. You can reach out on email. We'll have a link in the description.
Everyone stay safe. It's a pretty challenging time, but, keep positive. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It'll be here before we know it.
Hopefully it ends very soon and we can get back on with life.
That's it.
Thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next podcast.